Our next speaker is Astrid Severin from Greenovate Europe. Greenovate has been working for the last 2 years on the capitalisation studies and how to make better use of knowledge accumulated through INTERREG 4C and how to accelerate the application and transfer of that knowledge. In the next year, Greenovate will work on the future knowledge platforms for environment and resource efficiency. Astrid is going to present to us entrepreneurship approaches related to incubation. Astrid, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My special thanks go to Veronica for inviting me here today. We go back a long time. I had the honor already to work with you in the Paxis program. We have tried to calculate, but we will not share the figure with you how many years we know each other already. But we were looking at that time at the first and second generation of incubators, amongst other things, in that program. So now I was really happy to see in the toolkit that you're now also looking at the third generation already. So things are moving on. So, as you said, my name is Astrid Severin. I'm the Managing Director of Greenovate Europe. We are a European expert group that specializes in the exploitation of research results and in the capitalization of policy measures. And for the INTERREG 4C program, we have been working as capitalization experts for entrepreneurship as well as renewable energy systems. So, two very interesting subjects to deal with. I started my career 25 years ago in Brussels, supporting the setup of the European Business and Innovation Center network, especially for Denmark and Germany. And I've pretty much stayed in that field of SME and innovation support policy since then. So that is about me. I would also like to ask a little bit about what are you doing, so that I get the audience to know a little bit better. So it's all about entrepreneurship and incubation. So my first question would be, and just raise your hand, are you actually at the moment creating an incubator? Anybody here which is trying to create an incubator? Excellent. Anybody managing an incubator? Oh, good. Little knowledge question, I think most people will know that. How many SMEs do we have in Europe? Do you think it's 5 million, 12 million, or 20 million SMEs? So, 5 million, who is for 5 million? Nobody? 12 million? And 20 million. That's the majority, and the majority is always right. So, what is the percentage of SMEs that actually expect to grow? So, survey, how many SMEs are expecting to grow? 41%, 61%, or 67%? So, starting again, how many SMEs are expecting to grow? 41%? Okay. 61%? Yeah. And 67%? Well, I don't know if we have a real majority here. So the 41% is good, but that was 2009. And it has much improved. The outlook now is at 61%. So that's what is now. 67 would be excellent. Too excellent, actually. So, and my final question, who in this room is actually ever started a business? Once. Once. And twice. And do we have any serial entrepreneurs in here? Oh, yeah, that's really good. So, we have a very specialized audience. So, entrepreneurship, you know very well. I've looked for a little definition here which relates the whole issue to growth. We have 20 million SMEs, and that's 99% of our businesses in Europe, but nevertheless, it doesn't seem to be really the essence, only the SMEs, even though in Europe we're always looking at that and say the SMEs, they have to be supported. But what the essence of entrepreneurship seems to be is about growth, creativity, and innovation. And according to the European Foundation for Entrepreneurship Research, people that are entrepreneurs can be found basically everywhere. Not only in the SMEs. They can be found in spin-offs in universities, they can be found in larger corporations where they're innovating. They can be, of course, people that want to start a company. So it's really about this primary goal that these people want to achieve, and that seems to be growth. That's what research says. So entrepreneurship is a very important criteria for growth in our society. However, and you also know that possibly very, very well, Europe is still lagging behind in terms of entrepreneurial culture. Failure is not so well accepted, and so on and so forth. So it's still the United States that is the forerunner when it comes to entrepreneurial culture, and the first country that can be found in the Global Entrepreneurship and Development Monitor is Sweden on place number 4. Then comes the United Kingdom, which is only on 10. It's much better than Germany, which is only on 17. And even the Greeks, which we always think are very entrepreneurial people, seem to be only on 59. But at least they're on the list. Belgium is not even there yet. So what are our main challenges then? Why are we not as entrepreneurial as people in the United States? So it's that lack of entrepreneurial culture. The fear of failure seems to be a big barrier in general. And on the other side, we have difficulties in measuring if we have had any impact with the policies and the support that we're providing. So is there really a change in attitude and becoming more entrepreneurial? Then there is another thing, which is the low awareness of support mechanisms. I could come back to my Belgian example where I created my 2 companies. Belgium has at least 3 different cultures. It's the Flemish, the Walloon, and the Brussels culture, and then also have the Germans. Everybody has support mechanisms and several organizations. So I have not been managing, despite going to different fairs and so on, to find out who can actually help me with the things I need. And what I found was more for the barbershop than for my business, which was services to innovative companies. So the low awareness levels of where to go and what support I can get there is a huge issue. Lack of finance, I don't need to mention that really. Everybody knows that. It has been, and it has been staying over all these years, still an issue and a key barrier for entrepreneurs. And too much red tape. Yes, we still have too much bureaucracy in many countries to be able to open a company, which in other countries you can maybe do in 1 or 2 days. In Cyprus, for example, seems to be extremely easy. So, more challenges to come. Fragmentation, short-termism. So, services that are provided in a very reactive and ad hoc way, and by too many institutions. Then there is a large diversity of target groups. So who should the policymakers target? The high-tech companies, the low-tech companies, the migrant groups, the social entrepreneurs, and women, and handicapped people. I mean, this is always mentioned in entrepreneurship policy. Young people, we don't know. And on top of it, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. So very difficult. Business premises are often very expensive for small businesses, so that comes in your incubator side. How can you make it easier for businesses to find offices and space to work? And of course, a lack of personal support for businesses, so services to help them to grow their business. So these are all the challenges that the different projects are trying to address. Not only in the entrepreneurship section of our capitalization, but there especially. We have been looking at that, and we are addressing these challenges by capitalizing on the results of all the projects, such as the InCompass project. I think the results that will come out of this day and what I have already seen in your toolkit are extremely interesting and should also be merged into what is happening in terms of SMEs, innovation, and so on. So what is expected from this capitalization exercise is a whole lot of inspiration for everybody that is working on regional policies and entrepreneurship, synergies, of course, and mutual enrichment, and a very concrete input to regional policy development. We have a lot of innovative approaches and policy recommendations to that end, and they should be prepared in such a way that they can be easier reached by a certain subject, by you, which are the specialists in your region. So we have been looking at, Agos has already been saying, we have been looking at 8 projects, which were involving 74 project partners and 55 regions. And they all together, by the time we prepared our report, had identified 204 good practices. So not all were finished, some are still running, so there's more good practices to come. But that's the result by the end of our second year of capitalization. And the different projects were focusing on young entrepreneurs, on social enterprises, on infrastructures for SMEs, but also on these special groups like migrants, for example, and entrepreneurship in general. So what we developed with all the information that we found in this capitalization exercise is some sort of matrix that maps a little bit all the support that has been identified, all the best and good practices that have been coming out of the projects. So these can be classified, and that's what we have been doing so far, by access to know-how in different ways. That means education and training for entrepreneurs, mentoring and coaching, but also access to technological knowledge. The second part is access to facilities or access to infrastructure. And the third part, finally, is access to finance. So we see here the projects have been trying to address these issues. And I will go a little bit more detail on each of these points now. So in access to know-how, for example, in education and training, here a lot of projects want to awaken the entrepreneurial spirit in Europe, especially amongst young people. For example, the summer entrepreneur that has been taking is a good example that comes from the Mini Europe project, where students that are 14 to 20 years old create their own business during the summer holidays. Seems to have been very, very successful project, and we have more examples for education and training in that vein as well in our report, and I will show you later where you can find all of that. Under the mentoring and coaching, there was a special coaching organized for unemployed people, and they could work together in a second-hand store to sell their goods. That comes from the so-called Messe project. And finally, under the access to technical knowledge, here, of course, it's a lot of focus on high-tech startups that need all that technological knowledge. And here the cluster support environment mode, also from the Mini Europe project, has been presenting the business incubation and business technology centers. Access to facilities, and now we're coming to the area I believe is in the InCompass project one of the most interesting areas. Here I have first of all given you an example for supporting high-tech startups again through incubators that are providing specific services. Here you see the Clean Tech Campus. It's a project in Belgium. It provides businesses with technological knowledge in terms of clean mobility, renewable energy, and clean production processes. But I didn't want to stay only with one example, since you all have so much focus on incubation, and I see that you can already create some synergies by taking up a little bit what has been done under the entrepreneurship issue. So we had, for example, also an example from Gothenburg. It's called the Gothenburg Brew House. And here they're also offering shared space for creative industry entrepreneurs. So I think that's right up your alley. Maybe one other example that you might want to include. We also had the cluster support environment model. That is incubation for high startup firms, where they can get access to demonstrators, pilot plants, as well as specialized equipment. This is located in northwest England. And this model has already been transferred to Hungary and also to Romania. Another interesting access to infrastructure practice was the Consorzio in Concerto. That comes obviously from Italy, from the Veneto region. And here this infrastructure supports cooperative businesses, so 16 which are working together, and they're looking for peers to be able to exchange and improve their business. And then what I found also very interesting was access to facilities or infrastructure, not only in a building, but also in a dispersed way or in a remote way, virtual way for entrepreneurs, whereby, for example, you had here the Jönköping Science Park, which provides a network of local nodes, so they're not only in one specific location, but they have lots of little local nodes where people can go on site, and they also do the delivery of a support package in a virtual way. Then Lyonville de l'Entrepreneuriat, that is a comprehensive service in Lyon, where they have been aspiring that no entrepreneur has to go further than 15 minutes to find support. So very local as well, also a network. And that has actually helped the city of Lyon to have an 18% higher startup rate than the rest of France. So actually quite successful. People know exactly where to find their support. And finally, an example from Spain, the Murcia Entrepreneurship Plan. And here they're delivering also in a dispersed way entrepreneurship education. So they're going into the different locations in the region to educate young people that, as you know, for example, in Spain now need these opportunities, for example, through creating their own company or going into another one. So the conclusion we had on this was it's a people thing. It's not a building thing, so it's not done with the infrastructure and the better price for a startup. It has to involve this networking opportunities, the services, and so on and so forth. So access to finance, also for this, you will find quite a lot of examples in our work and in the report that we have been preparing. One example here, which I want to highlight, is from the Malopolska region in Poland, where unemployed people receive some funding so they can set up their own social enterprise. And here also they not only get money, they also get guidance and help to structure that and set that up. So all the entrepreneurship capitalization results are available on the INTERREG website. I hear there's currently a little bit restructured, so you may have to wait 2-3 days, or you can go on our Greenovate website, which you will find later. And you can find our reports from 2013 and 14, policy recommendations we made, and the policy brochure. The workshops you cannot participate anymore because they're over, but that's what we also delivered. So, what we want to recommend to policymakers is not to look at only individual tools when they want to foster entrepreneurship. But we would like to suggest that they are actually developing comprehensive regional entrepreneurship policy so that every tool fits into a strategy, which ideally should, of course, provide a long-term vision. It should provide coherence and stability. So as an investor, you want to know what is happening in 10 years. And if in 2 years the policy is already changing, it's very difficult to invest. And of course, the improved access to knowledge, facilities or infrastructure and finance are key points to be tackled by each region. What is important points to take into account, and I said at the beginning, we have different target groups. At the one hand, we have maybe the high-tech startups, which can help create growth in a region by building on the regional strengths and on the capabilities which are available. I think most of you will have done that exercise now through the smart specialization strategies. But we also have social entrepreneurship, which offers a lot of opportunities for target groups which are very difficult to deal with, like the unemployed or disadvantaged or minorities or migrants. So these are things which should not be neglected. It's not only about high tech, it's also about these other aspects that can bring employment and growth into a region. So finally, we're now working on providing input to the development or to the future of INTERREG Europe and the capitalization, so that all these results are not lost. So the plan is to develop the policy learning platforms in the 4 areas that have been presented already by Akos, whereby you will have most probably an online platform, but also the personal aspect. So the individual expert advice, peer reviews, thematic events where people can meet up again. And our task is at the moment to work mainly on the platform for environment and resource efficiency, but we're also providing our input into the entrepreneurship area. So I will not go in detail on that. If you have questions about what we are doing, I'm also available here for the rest of the day, and we can speak about your results and your questions and experiences that you have been doing. So, and in the meantime, well, maybe the reports are not available on INTERREG. You could also go to our website and you can find them there. So, thank you very much.